Hi people, welcome to Blue K Jazz Dance. I want to share some information with you around what I've been doing over the last few years as an individual. I've been giving people real talk, giving them rethinking, and talking about UK jazz dance as a warrior and warrioress rites of passage. I want to share with people it's a rites of passage dance, and I want to give some people the information around me being a jazz dancer. From before UK jazz dance was created, which is 1975, I was already dancing. I created my own one-man show. I was already dancing to swing dance from 1972. And I used dance as a vehicle to beat shyness, extreme lack of concentration and focus, to beat lack of alertness, to beat social anxieties, because I had all these anxieties. I had loads of disorders, a lot of social emotional problems. I used dance as a vehicle, and I created this character called Adventures of a Swing Kid. It came about because I was in primary school. I was extremely bullied. People tried to kill me. As an individual, I was very extremely shy, as I said, and I needed to beat my inconfidences in life. Do you understand? My lack of my self-criticism, my hatred of myself, to be put on the spot to perform in front of people and be humiliated. I had to challenge it, and I challenged it through creating my own jazz dance style, storytelling style and dance style. So storytelling and dance together I did from 1972, and it started with a competition in Grenada. I debuted in Grenada, and I won a dance competition, and I won other competitions, dancing competition, storytelling competition, music competitions. I ended up going to a lot of competitions. I got the confidence. Before, I felt embarrassed about being self-conscious, and because I had that ability, confidence to do that. When I came back to Britain, that's what I did as an individual. Over the years, I've shared with individuals there's been a miseducation in UK jazz dancers, because the UK jazz dancer was dancing to jazz before UK jazz dance was created with jazz funk, which has not been acknowledged. We were influenced by the musicals. You'll hear me say it over and over again. Male dancers wanted to be tap dancers, black male dancers wanted to be tap dancers, and to be stage jazz dancers, to be in musical theatre. We want to be in the musicals. That's what we wanted growing up. From the children who came 48, 50 and 60, that was their aspirations. The girls wanted to be ballet dancers. Black, white, Chinese, Asian. There was just a thing in Britain about being ballet dancers that was huge, okay? For the males, it was definitely about, being in musical theatre. That meant tap, dance, acting, doing sketches, doing comedy. That's where we got it from. That's the whole thing. And people haven't registered that, and it's a bit naive that people have done that, because what happens, it's spread a miseducation, it's stereotyped to us as an individual that we weren't sophisticated, we didn't have nothing to do with other elements like musical theatre. So as an individual, part of my work, I created an exhibition and created some curated some exhibitions. Rebirth for the Cool was one of my longest projects. We was talking about my time, my acts of achievement in jazz. People were shocked. I'm into ice skating. I studied ice skating, roller skating. I studied the period of jazz. I studied the history of Africa and the relationship to jazz, slavery, three people, the Moors in Europe. Why? Because they give you only way you can understand jazz if you know the history of jazz. And I'm very much about saying that what happened, there's been this education because the cultural heritage has been missed out. You can't study jazz and don't know the cultural heritage. So many of the dancers, without Manchester, you can't have jazz, can you? Because clog was developed in Manchester from the Industrial Revolution. Do you understand? And what we had rivalries going on between North and South. The South has a rivalry against Manchester, saying nothing happens north of Watford. Well, the hornpipe, the jig, the Industrial Revolution happened. Without the Industrial Revolution, you wouldn't have no jazz. That's impossible. And so what happens is, this is where the miseducation has come in. And I was an individual that blew the bubble open, wide open, in dance colleges when I used to go, because I said, look, dance is supposed to be an activity where you open up a child to all different types of dance. Is that not true? And people would say yes. I said, where does the rivalry come in then? How come people are miseducating people about dance? Jazz dance, there's no course in Britain that identifies that Manchester played a huge role to do with jazz dance. So people were shocked in the room, and that's everybody in this room, because of the rivalry. I was the one that blew. I just Basically, I opened Pandora's box to do with jazz dance. I haven't been on no course yet that references that Manchester has played a huge role to do with jazz throughout the world. People dumbfounded. That's the reason I left the mainstream. The mainstream was showing me double discrimination to me and showing me double standards. They said that they were open. We don't have prejudices in the world of jazz. We're open to everything. But how come we don't teach nothing to do with Manchester then? People dumbfounded. Exactly. So my work, as I said, as a UK jazz dancer, is teaching people the truth. I'm an activist. I ask questions and create debates around questions not being asked. People are talking about the future of jazz. The future of jazz, you need to question your own self about the biases that you have and what you've done to make sure jazz has been stagnated. What's happening, double discriminations and double standards you've brought in. You have miseducated, most of the teachers in jazz, miseducated their students. And that came from them being miseducated. That's like a child having a parents with traumatized by a bad incident, and they pass on the traumas to the child. That's what's happened in jazz. So people talk about the future of jazz. I don't have that conversation because people need to know better, and they don't, because they've not looked into themselves. Because the one key thing that's around, I'm glad I was part of. I came into dance, self-assessing myself in dance. I use it for my personal development and for my professional development. And that means I self-assessed the biases I had. And I didn't have no biases. I had no biases against dance. So I explored all different dances. When I went into the world of mainstream dance, that's where I found prejudices against my dance, against me, and against black women dancers. Ballet world is the most elitist and the most one has double discrimination, double standards in it. Simply as it is. And so is the jazz world. It tells you can't do this, you can't do that. Yet we're open to everything. That's a lie and a big fabrication. That's a lie and a fabrication. Ballet world says we're open to everything. You're not open to everything. So I left them institutions. Why? Because what happens is I want to be in a world of dance where I teach young people. And the world of dance, I introduce young people to dances. The dances that are going to enrich you and push you to the boundaries of your learning as a person and makes you a rounded person. So if you want to learn about ballet, go to the Dance Fair of Harlem, because Russian dance has prejudice against black dancers. Western dance has prejudice against black dancers. I say study Russian dance because I studied Russian ballet, but go to Dance Fair of Harlem because Dance Fair of Harlem pushes and promotes ballet is for everybody. Russia does not promote ballets for everybody. It promotes it for themselves, and when black people do it, it's going to shape a negative for us as a company. You know, it can't happen, can it? We could just that's that.